In China, people who are fervently patriotic or love the Communist Party are called Little Pink. No one has done any statistics on whether its number is growing or decreasing. But through personal observation, we believe that there should be fewer of them because this group is being impacted by information from all corners. Some should have gradually changed their minds. This Little Pink is surprised to discover that Red China has become quite lonely in the world after several trips abroad.
生活在一个孤岛之上。为什么这么说
After
呢？
traveling overseas, I came to realize that we are living on a lonely island. Why do I say that? When I went abroad in 2019, I didn't want to buy a local phone card because I could just buy a pack of overseas data on top of my Chinese phone card. Then I could use it as usual. It was very convenient. No need to change cards back and forth. But this year, I couldn't do that anymore. In the beginning, we also planned to buy a good data pack. After traveling overseas, I found that the internet speed was very slow and many apps couldn't work. They were restricted. If it identified a Chinese phone card, some software would become unusable, or some functions would be disabled. Many practical functions went missing. You will find that you are cut off from the rest of the world. In the past, we might not have cared much about what ideological stuff that was said, but this time, when I went abroad, I really felt it. Some countries have become so hostile to us because of the export of ideology. This is very confusing. There is no trouble between us, but they are hostile to us. You people at home may not understand this phenomenon. When we try to say or do something, we get blocked. They are very powerful. I never imagined that I would encounter such a situation before. But this time, when I went abroad and encountered a lot of things, it suddenly made me understand that these bad governments are really not human. They are really evil. They are trying to dig a hole for you, create obstacles for you, and contain you. They just don't let you live a good life. Really, it hasn't been easy. We are excellent to be able to achieve what we have today. At the same time, we must also strengthen our self-examination. We must stick to our ideology, not be swayed by them. I think it's an awakening. I suddenly realized this. I didn't feel much of it before. This journey has given me a lot to look back on slowly. It is a shame that this Little Pink, upon feeling lonely, has instead been inspired to adhere more strongly to the communist socialist ideology. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has all sorts of logic. One goes like this: China is strong, which proves that the Communist Party has done a great job leading the country and the Chinese people have risen. Another is that when the country has many problems, it doesn't matter, because the more difficulties the nation encounters, the more they inspire people's will to fight, thus strengthening the nation. So no matter how hard you try to think, people who have been immersed in this culture since kindergarten will have a hard time avoiding the logical traps that the CCP has prepared for the people. In fact, people who love the party are not only limited to the younger age group. Some of the older ones, too, are often referred to as old pinks. They have lived through the era of Mao Zedong, which has branded many of them.
In the era of Mao Zedong, we women weren't like this. We weren't controlled by the Japanese or by the Americans. Look at you, the way you look. People say that when you get older, you have to dress up. You said it well. You've changed. Don't you think you're anything special? You have become puppets of the Japanese. Son of a gun. Look at what you're wearing. Who dresses like this? You're too high class.
Guided by the official Chinese media, the Little Pinks generally feel favorable about the Russian army in the war. They think that the Russian army is a great hero when it moves forward and has great wisdom when it retreats. It is invincible when it goes well and is playing a very big game when it doesn't go well. Dear Russian President Vladimir Putin the Great, I am a member of the Russian military. My code number is MT-904973, a Chinese soldier from China. I am here to plead with you to give me control of the nuclear weapons. I will not hesitate to press the button wherever you want me to strike, except my homeland, China. I will bear all the blame for you, and all the consequences will be mine alone. Clever people see that the love of country and party and Russia can be made into a business. So this man dressed up as a Russian soldier and live-streamed on Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok. Hello, Chinese friends. We are at the nuclear power station in Kharkov, Ukraine. We have just fought with the U.S. 1st Marine Division and caught a big fish. This enemy was quite unruly, so I went up to him and slapped him around. Now he is quiet. The man posted videos claiming to be on the front line in Ukraine, and within a short period of time, his Douyin channel surged by 400,000 followers. Then he started live streaming and selling goods to his fans in Chinese. He sold various Russian products, including honey, beer, vodka, and other Russian food, and managed to gain the support of his fans, allowing him to sell at least hundreds of items. However, some sharp-eyed netizens found that the IP locations of the videos posted by the Russian soldier on Douyin all came from China's Henan province. When the netizens listened carefully, they noticed that the person's not-so-fluent Chinese actually had an accent of Henan. The following paragraph is not dubbed in English. If you know Chinese, listen to it. Does it have the accent of Henan province?
中国的朋友们，你们好。我们现在乌克兰赫尔松的热电厂捉了一名吃猴，是美国骑兵第一师的。他妈的不老实，我上去，啪啪啪，找过了一把 M111，非常的精良，非常的好用。
It turns out the night in Henan province became the night in the countryside of Russia. The thermal power plant in Henan became the nuclear power station in Ukraine. Communication equipment became weapons devices. The Chinese man, Wang, anti-American. After being exposed by the netizens, the fake Russian didn't bother to explain or admit his mistake, but directly changed his account name to Wang Kongmei, or Wang Anti-American, which means fight against America. He continued to use patriotism to do his business. The Chinese netizens no longer believed it, and the incident became increasingly heated, with the Douyin platform finally blocking the account permanently for impersonating a Russian soldier and publishing false information. There are many incidents where the love of young or old pinks is misplaced. For instance, this man seems to feel wronged because of something, and he feels that the communist officials shouldn't have treated him in such a way. I love the party more than I love the people. I would never do anything that would harm the party or the country. I asked them, the local officials, to check out my history and what I used to do at the local level. I was also in the security business. When I returned to the local level in 1980, I also participated in the stability work requested by the local government. I think they've handled things very badly in this position. To put it bluntly, they are trying to act in a reckless manner. Doing nothing is to describe it kindly. They are actually screwing things up. They are reckless in treating us veterans without a proper understanding of the situation. They wanted to stop us from this operation, so they asked the travel agency to cancel our trip. What do you think these people are doing? Can they be considered Communist Party cadres? I don't think they are qualified. We are such a big country, and I demand that they, the officials, really understand what we veterans are trying to do. It seems that this older man doesn't know that he isn't allowed to talk nonsense in China. Or maybe he already knows because we don't know if any police have tried to reach him yet. The main task of online police in China is to constantly search various websites and various nodes on websites, especially all the forums of various websites, and take appropriate measures once they find content that are anti-party and anti-socialist remarks, personal attacks on leaders, etc. For example, the name of the current party leader has become a highly sensitive term. Now just mentioning him isn't allowed. You can mention anyone's name, but if you mention his name, you have a problem. This police officer said, "Don't you know what period of time it is?" I said I knew, but I didn't expect it to be sensitive to such an extent. The police officer was probably relaxed the more we talked, and in the evening breeze, he lit a cigarette, took a puff, and said, "Do you think I'm willing to come and interrogate you? Do you think I am willing to do this job? Let me tell you, we have many big cases, important cases waiting to be solved but can't be solved. Every day, a large number of police officers are assigned to monitor how the people talk to see who is commenting on him again. Do you think I don't get tired? Do you know how many people I have interrogated? You are the 80th. I said, "Comrade, People's Police, do you mean that there are only 80 people in Beijing who are talking about him? That's impossible. There are only 80 people chatting about him in Beijing. How many people are talking about him every day?" He said, "Do you know how many cyber police there are in Beijing? This is what they do every day." I asked, "How many people are there?" He said, 25,000 people. Our system has a big data system. Once you are involved in sensitive words, it will be immediately transmitted to our Human Resources Department, and our Human Resources Department will decide what kind of measures to take against you after the examination. In Beijing alone, there are 25,000 people doing this work. What about the whole country? I now know where the $140 billion of funding to maintain social stability in the country is being spent. The Chinese cyber police, who seem most likely to turn into little pinks, are also starting to reflect and complain. Another incident that makes the little pinkies sad and baffled is that the party seems to love foreigners more than the Chinese. The following image stings the hearts of the little pinks. They wrote, "Next time, don't let the men in uniform do this kind of thing." Black people have become incapable of caring for themselves since they came to China. Soldiers should have a backbone. I can't accept this, but if it were a girl of etiquette, I might be able to accept it. Can these people fight in the war? It's a shame. There are also special cases that happen in the airport of this country. For passengers arriving on the same flight, there are 5 tables for random checking. 3 tables check Chinese luggage randomly. The other one isn't in use. I've been here for a whole afternoon. I haven't seen a single European or American passenger being asked to open their bags for inspection. In this time period, 2 or 3 Indian or Pakistani people were asked to open their luggage for inspection, but they went to the side of the security check and said a few words to the people doing the inspection. Then they were let go. It's normal for customs to conduct random checks, but to target a certain area or a certain color of people is unacceptable to us. Do you think this is happening in the US? No, it's Tanzania. The CCP has undertaken many infrastructure projects in Tanzania as part of its One Belt, One Road project, including constructing an airport. This country is in South-Central Africa and has one of the strongest ties with the CCP. Tens of thousands of Chinese people are here to strike gold, but it looks like the country's airport is trying to strike gold from the Chinese. Paying money, 200,000 shillings, it's not a lot. I paid about 200,000 shillings, that's about 588 yuan, or $80. Oh, that is about 600 yuan. We have no choice. It seems that they don't check on the Indians, Pakistanis, Europeans, and Americans. Yes, there isn't anything we can do about it. They target only the Chinese because Chinese people have money. We can't do anything about it. The cameraman put the video on the Chinese web titled, "Tanzania, China-aided airport specializing in bullying Oriental faces, especially the Chinese." The video quickly went viral and was reported on China's 163 website and Sina.com. However, these reports were soon deleted. As relations between the US and China deteriorate, some manufacturing plants associated with American companies have been branded as sweatshops such as Foxconn, the foundry for Apple. Such reports have been successful in provoking the outrage of little pinks. Chinese media, which used to praise Foxconn for creating jobs, have turned to criticize the Taiwanese company heavily in line with the party's new directives. Government agencies are also secretly investigating Foxconn. Since 2018, the Foxconn Group has been involved in the Sweatshop controversy. However, as the wave of foreign investors leaves, more and more Chinese workers are discovering that what the Chinese media are saying isn't true. Does Foxconn count as a sweatshop? From my experience at this factory and other factories I've worked at, it's not really a sweatshop. It's true that Foxconn often works overtime and employees are encouraged to work overtime, but Foxconn can guarantee that overtime is paid according to the law. Overtime work from Monday to Friday is paid 1.5 times the normal working hours. Saturday and Sunday are twice the normal hours. Foxconn has always paid overtime to its employees in this way. Just this point alone, you see how many enterprises in China have failed to do it. There are many who can't do it. I'm in Xi'an, and I have been in the machinery industry for a long time. In our industry, when we encounter the problem of overtime pay, there are usually 2 situations. First, you aren't paid overtime, but you still must work overtime just the same. You won't get an extra penny for it. Second, for each hour of overtime, one gets 10 yuan, or $1.3 US. I've worked in other enterprises for 10 years, and they are all like this. Secondly, when I left Foxconn, there were still a few months before the year end, but Foxconn still gave me a year-end bonus. This is something that not many companies in Shanxi province can do. It is not easy to recognize the traps that the CCP has set for the public, and it's difficult not to be or think like a little pink. Now on the stage is playing, without the Communist Party, there is no new China. On July 1st, the founding day of the Chinese Communist Party, which is also its birthday, the Chinese fell to the ground while performing a red song. It's not a good sign. Can such a scene wake up some of the little pinks? Finally, let's look at the performance of over 1,000 students to welcome the arrival of the CCP officials. This performance is called tabletop dance. Can you think of any reason why children should not be able to dance freely away from the desk? Why did the Chinese education officials invent this dance? Perhaps the CCP is obsessed with turning independent-minded children into desk and chair-bound human beings. Such uniform mechanical movements are beautiful in their eyes, and allowing people to move their upper bodies is called giving freedom. As for the number of participants, the more the better, of course.